Gotcha. You guys fell for the pump fake. Hello and welcome, guys. This is the Raptors Reaction Podcast. I'm your host, William Lou. Raptors win tonight, 119 to 109 in a game that truly may have had no moments, quite frankly, because I spent the first three quarters being like, yo, guys, just please take this seriously. Please take this seriously. Please take this seriously. They allowed the Nets to hang around. The Nets didn't even play all that great. I'm not gonna lie to you. The Nets are 1-10 and 0-6 at home. This is a team that probably will struggle to reach 12 wins. I think that like there's a real 70 loss type of vibe to the Brooklyn Nets and the way they play. And this is not even that injured of a team for them. Like I guess Cam Thomas wasn't there, but it's TBD whether that actually helps or hurts them. But in any case, Raptors though, we all expected the Raptors to win this game. I think the Raptors were favored by like 10 points going into this one, and that felt kind of light, you know what I mean, in terms of just again how bad Brooklyn is. And um and I don't know what to say. It was just kind of an unserious vibe for like the first like three quarters, I would say. It's not to say the Raptors didn't have some good moments in that stretch. The second quarter, the Raptors were able to win that quarter 32 to 22, so they went into halftime with an 8-point lead. A lot of that was they closed the first half with a really nice run there, 6-0. A couple guys made some good plays. But realistically, like I don't know. Like, I mean, I think it was a good timeout by Darko to start this game because the Raptors opened this one. Here are the first four plays of the game for Brooklyn. The Raptors give up a wide open three on the wing, giving extra help in the lane for no reason. So it's 3-0. Then the next play down, the Raptors concede a wide open rolling layup for Nick Claxton to score at the basket. And then RJ, for some reason, pushes Nick Claxton while he's out of bounds and pushes. I mean, Claxton was kind of like leaning over the ball, trying to delay the game type of thing, but RJ just straight up like shoves him and Claxton falls over. That's a technical foul. So basically an and one on that layup. The next play, Nick Claxton beats Jakob just driving one-on-one, takes him in there for an and one. So another 3-point play. That's three in a row if you're counting. And then the last one there, Raptors are guarding the pick and roll. And again, they find Claxton wide open for a dunk. And Darko is disgusted. This only been like 3 minutes. Actually less. It might have been 2.5 minutes. Darko calls that timeout. Raptors are down early. And it's like, guys, are we going to wake up? And honestly, I thought the Raptors did a decent job of responding to that. Again, it's not a difficult opponent. Brooklyn is very much just like, let's get your stats, get your, get the win and just get out of there. You know what I mean? Like this is a team that I would be genuinely curious to see Raptors 905 versus the Brooklyn Nets. Not Raptors 905 versus the Long Island Nets. Like Raptors 905 versus the Brooklyn Nets. I really would like to see what like AJ Lawson and Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, Olivier Sarr. I'm pretty sure Sarr could have had 15 points in this game, no problem. But it was just, and credit to, honestly, the younger guys, because when they went to the bench and they brought in some of the younger players, they played with way more energy than the starters. The starters looked straight up lethargic for most of this game. Didn't even look that focused. And, I think it was the second unit that really got the Raptors level. Again, it didn't take too much, because Brooklyn's kind of a pushover. So Jamal comes in the game and knocks down a three. Jakob comes in and knocks down 2 threes. They start playing some defense thanks to Colin Murray Boyles. The mobility and Grady Dick's flying around. And he didn't hit a three today, but I thought he was very active on the defensive end. Like just a little bit of that. Even throwing a little sprinkle of Jamison Battle, who got to play because Ochai Agbaji wasn't in the game today. And also because Scotty Barnes was in foul trouble. So Jamison Battle got a decent amount of time, and I thought he did a great job in the minutes that he got. Just like he's done all season, basically. And you all of a sudden get back in the game, but there were just all these stretches of inconsistency. And of course, it didn't help that the Raptors shot so poorly from three. 9 of 35 from three. That's got to be their worst performance of the season. Raptors had actually been quite good. Coming into this game, the Raptors were 5th in the NBA in 3-point percentage. And, a lot of guys were shooting well from three. Not tonight. The Raptors shot 9 of 35. Like I said, and of course that includes a stretch there between midway through the second quarter to midway through the fourth quarter where the Raptors went 0 for 14 from three during that entire stretch. So even if the Raptors were scoring, with ease anytime they ran any competent offense, Brooklyn was still able to keep close just because they were just hitting some threes. And, it felt like the Raptors were scoring every, like 2 2s, and the Brooklyn's would come in with the three. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you didn't really get that separation that you really felt comfortable with. And of course, it took until Immanuel Quickley shot like a 32-foot bomb off just a catch and shoot. Grady Dick swung and turned down a three because Grady himself was 0 for 4 from three today. Let me see that. Yeah, 0 for 4 from three. So he couldn't really get it going either from three, and so he turned down the look and quickly knocked down a really deep one. Quickley, by the way, was awesome in this one. He continues to have these bounce back performances. The first, I would say, 6-7 games of the season were like a little bit worrisome. Like, what's going on with Quickley? He doesn't look like himself. He's not even playing with much joy, which I think is kind of like the telltale sign of, what Quick does is he goes out there and he plays with joy, and the teammates sort of definitely respond to that. And when he gets really aggressive, it gives the Raptors a totally different dimension in terms of their offensive production, because there's not a lot of guys scoring off the dribble from beyond the 3-point line the way Quick can. The way Quick can navigate these tight spaces and get into the lane and be a threat to score off the dribble. He's been hitting these floaters. In the second half, Quickley had 18 points. And it was a lot of Quickley down the stretch there. He drove in for a little pick and roll layup where he used Jakob as like a kind of like a hide and go seek, like a Marco Polo type of thing, where he was just kind of like, ducking and dodging the defenders and making them run into Jakob over and over again before he got in for the floater. He got that deep three to drop. He had another one where he set a guy up. Like there was just a lot of good stuff from Quick in the second half here to sort of take this. And it was good because honestly, like, Quick also had a couple moments where it was a little too aggressive, like a couple of transition pull-up threes where it's not that I mind that, because I think that's one of his like best moves. And, we're actually going to we have an interview that we recorded with Emmanuel on Monday that we're going to release tomorrow on the channel. So look out for that, obviously at Hello and Welcome Podcast, where we talked to Quickley. And one of the things I specifically asked him about was sort of that transition three and sort of like where he developed that and just the mentality that goes in with that. So like, I mean, I totally understand where he's coming from with some of these threes, but there were like moments. There was like 4-on-2 fast breaks, and he was like taking the pull-up threes. Like, all right, I mean, it's open, but like, maybe if we drove it in a little bit, then we just make 1-2 extra passes, and then all of a sudden we get a layup. You know what I mean? But in any case, I thought Quickley did a really good job in the second half, especially because, the Raptors needed that boost offensively. And it was basically just Brandon Ingram. I mean, Brandon is, we know what Brandon Ingram is by this point, right? He's just kind of like a walking bucket. Tonight goes for 25 points, ho-hum, very easy for him, 8 of 17 shooting from the field, playing at his own pace, getting to the mid-range. This guy, I mean, I know he's like, I don't know what the last update was, but, the stats came out last week that Brandon Ingram was like the most efficient player in the mid-range this season. In terms of his field goal percentage, he was at 60% from the mid-range. And he draws a decent amount of fouls too. But, I mean, you don't need to draw fouls as much when you're shooting 60%. And tonight, I mean, the three-point shot wasn't dropping for him. He only went 1 for 6. It does feel like adjusting to catch a shoot for him is just not as comfortable. It feels like he needs a couple dribbles. And it feels like it's like really routine for him to hit from mid-range, whereas from three, it's more of like, I don't know. It just doesn't look as natural for him. Not to say he can't shoot the three. He's been a fine three-point shooter in his career, but when he gets to that mid-range, man, it's just over for you. Like, it's, today, obviously Brooklyn tried to like throw Terrence Mann on him. Mann's a solid defender. Mann's like 6'5", 6'6", long arms, but Brandon was just able to shoot over the top of him. The Nets also didn't really send too much extra attention at him, and so if you allow Brandon to play one-on-one, I mean, a lot of plays where he just, I mean, one-on-one is where Brandon excels. Brandon is like elite at one-on-one basketball, you know what I mean? And so he had plays where, he's in the lane, he's playing off of 2 feet, goes for the up fake, draws the defender in the air, and then steps through and does a finger roll. And I swear he was at the free throw line when he did the fake, and then by the time he stretched in for the finger roll, he was already at the rim. I'm like, wait, how long is his reach? Like, that's kind of absurd, So, you had that. I mean, he's just hooping, down the stretch there when the Raptors and Nets were kind of going back and forth. Raptors got the Nets to call timeout to stop a run after Brandon, again, got into mid-range, a little shoulder shimmy, turnaround, pull-up jumper in his eye, easy. After the game, you see him celebrating courtside with his girl, Glorilla, once again at the game. I feel like she's been at more Raptors games than I mean, pretty much anybody not on the Raptors themselves. I don't even think Raptors media is traveling as much with the team as Glow is, but Glow is there sitting courtside and wearing the jersey, and they're doing a little signature like a handshake together, a little dap. I was like, super, super cute. And of course, he goes in for the post-game interview as well. But he kind of just kept the offense like afloat, basically, because there were lots of moments where the Raptors just like didn't have it going. A couple guys who have been pretty consistent all season just like were not in this game. I'm going to start with RJ Barrett, who, I mean, it's good that he came back in and finished strong with like a layup, a putback, and then he also took a charge. That's all within the last like 2-3 minutes of the game. So, you know, that's pretty good. You make one positive play per minute in the last 3 minutes. Those are definitely going to be impactful. And I'm thankful to RJ for those moments. But my goodness, the first so what did he play today? 29? Yeah, the first 26 minutes of this game were just genuinely like destructive basketball. Like, okay, it didn't help that he couldn't hit the three, which, you know, he's been doing a lot better job with that this season, or basically just since coming to the Raps, right? You know, but 0 of 7 from 3 today. A lot of these were open looks. They weren't like rushed or anything. These are regular looks he just couldn't hit at all today. And then to compound that, he was also trying to then take it to the basket, as we know RJ always will be doing. And once in a while, he got a little push floaters and stuff like that to drop. I mean, again, you shoot 21 times, you make 6. It's not a great percentage, especially considering 2 of those layups came at the end of the game. So realistically, it was like 4 of 17 for like a long time in this game. And defensively wasn't making an impact either. Like, I don't know what to say. This is like, RJ has been really good to start the season. RJ has been really consistent to start the season, which makes this one performance really stand out. Because I was like, dude, what was happening in this game? I mean, he had a couple plays where, you know, he did better defensively. There's one where he really hustled back after he smoked a 3, and that led to a fast break. But he was the last man back, and he atoned for his own miss by standing in there with the verticality and forcing a missed layup at the rim. You know, that play should have been going to the Raptors because Grady Dick got the rebound and they got pushed out of bounds somehow. By the way, there's one bald ref on the baseline that just called every play for Brooklyn. It was highly suspicious in this one. I'm not gonna lie to you, but in any case, like that really should have been a stop. But again, like I'm reaching bottom of the barrel, man. This is a bad RJ Barrett performance. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then I thought it was a pretty bad performance from Scotty Barnes simply because of the fact that like this guy just wasn't really in the game. He was just like constantly in foul trouble in the second half. Well, even the first half a little bit as well. You saw the Raptors, you know, take him out towards the end of the first half because they didn't want to pick up his 4th foul. Then he picked up his 4th foul. Then he got a technical foul after picking up his 4th foul because he had to go to the bench. He waving the towel at the referee. Then after that, you know, he comes into the game. Okay, so he basically out for most of the third quarter. We got to save him. But in the fourth quarter, okay, you got 2 fouls to play with. Let's go all out. Let's close this game. He immediately commits his 5th foul on like, I mean, it's a pretty light call. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like Scotty got like jobbed a little bit in terms of some of these fouls weren't like 5 flagrant. These aren't like 5 Draymond Green fouls. You know what I mean? Like these are, you know what I mean? These are like some real light taps or whatever. But the 5th foul, I mean, like look, if you know that like the referees are on your case, you've already you know got the tech for the complaining and they're calling it tight, whatever. It's like, all right, well, I just don't want the 5th foul to be taken as soon as you come back into the game in the fourth quarter, where you're just like, I think like Noah Clowney was catching the ball at the 3-point line with his back to the basket. Like, you don't really need to like go under him and bump him. You know what I mean? Again, like I wouldn't personally call that foul because I think that's soft as hell by the referees, but you still got to play a little more careful. You know what I mean? So, you know, that basically knocked Scotty out the game again. Like, this Scotty basically didn't even play in the second half, it felt like, just because of the foul trouble. And, you know, when he did play, obviously he was good. Like, there's, we know what Scotty can do. He had 15 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 of 9 shooting from the field. You know, he took it strong to the paint. He did a great job with that. Really, the only thing with him today was the fouls and a couple of, like, turnovers. But it just you didn't really feel that consistent Scotty Barnes presence the way I feel like has been consistently there the rest of the games this season. Like Philadelphia, for example, I think he might have scored even less, but you felt his presence with how active he was, you know, defensively and having to battle Embiid and still taking it strong and hitting jumpers. Like, just didn't really feel his presence in this one nearly as much. And then, I don't know, second unit's kind of an adventure. So obviously the best performing sub for the Raptors this season has been Sandro Mamukelashvili. Unfortunately, in that Sixers game, he was racing for a rebound. He was diving for it. And while he was on the ground, VJ Etchkin was fighting over for the ball and ended up fully kneeing him in the back of the head. No foul called on that, by the way. But Yeah, so he fully kneed him in the back of the head. So Sandro managed to finish the game, but you could definitely tell how hard of an impact that was. And then so it was going to be a question of whether he's going to play today. He was listed as questionable. Ultimately, didn't play. He had neck stiffness. He had neck stiffness like Christopher in season 1. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, it was just kind of tough. Like, seeing the bench operate without him, because I think he's just done such a good job of like directing traffic, spacing the floor, being the outlet, playing obviously as one of the older heads, because the bench is pretty much all young guys coming off the bench. Like today, I mean, Battle, sophomore, CMB's a rookie, Mobo actually only played garbage time, so let's forget him. But Shed, Walter, Grady, like Grady's the most experienced guy coming off the bench, and he's like 21 or 22 years old as a third year player. You know what I mean? Like everybody's sophomores and rookies. So, when Sandro's actually in the game, like you actually see the sense of like calm from the team in terms of just like, okay, you could play through Sandro in a way. And obviously he's had great chemistry with these guys. So without them, like, yes, the Raptors bench came in with great energy and there were some pretty good moments, but like Jamal was like the only guy who was bringing them like any sort of steadying feeling. Like Jakob, for example, I'm happy to knock down 2 threes, but he also came in the game when the first thing he did within like 10 seconds was chuck a moving 3 with no rebounders underneath. It's like, we don't need to do that. You know what I mean? And like the way you're going to get minutes isn't if you get hot and knock down 5 threes. Like Jamison Battle just did that in Cleveland, fully saved the game for them in Cleveland. And the next game he got like 25 seconds. You know what I mean? So the way you get the minutes is if you're in for the defense. And Darko's looking at Jacoby as a defender, and seeing Jacoby come in the game and make no impact on the defensive end was disappointing. You know what I mean? Grady Dick. Okay, so yes, he's flying around. He's doing a better job overall. And today he just didn't have threes to drop, but he did take the good threes from Grady today in terms of the attempts. You can't control all of them going in, but at the same time, like there were still moments for him where he's either over aggressive or he's just slightly out of position, or he's like down on the shooter, even though the Nets are basically letting them fly. Look, the Nets don't really have good offensive players, like period. So they're gonna shoot the threes if they have the chance to. So there's still little moments like that where they're just not that consistent. Even CMB also came into this game just determined to foul everybody. I'm sorry, but Noah Clowney is not that dangerous. I've seen CMB this season guard Wemby. I've seen him guard Evan Mobley. I've seen him guard Jaren Jackson. He got a little bit of Embiid, or even Drummond, who's a former All-Star in this league. I didn't see him like nearly as pressed as I saw him guard Giannis twice, or I guess once. But I still didn't see him get nearly as pressed as when Noah Clowney was on him. I'm like, dude, what do you know what I mean? I think sometimes for CMB, like he loves being physical. He loves being the bully, and he wants to take the aggression to the defender and to the attacker. And most times that's good. Today though, it just felt like I don't know. I don't know if we need to, you know what I mean? Noah Clowney's not that dangerous. Like he's like spot up 3 maybe, and then like he's got length going to the basket, but unless he's gonna dunk it, like you're kind of okay with him shooting these driving floaters or whatever. Like you just got to stay in front sometimes, you know what I mean? And it just didn't feel like the right balance was there. Now, granted, CMB really calmed down, and then over the course of the game, he started playing better, especially in the offensive end. I thought he did a great job attacking closeouts, got himself to the foul line 4 times, knocked down all 4. Those were great. Didn't miss a shot, knocked down a corner 3 as well. That started some of the closeouts now, because afterwards people were jumping on him. Like when the ball swung to CMB in the corner, he pump faked, got Nick Claxton up in the air, and then drove that closeout, got in the lane, and got 2 free throws out of it. That was good. That was a good play in the fourth quarter. You can even see Nick Claxton saying, "My bad." I mean, yeah, my bad. I mean, I don't know. He's kind of been this wild, erratic player for his whole career. But, and then I think actually the funny thing for CMB too was just some of the slick passes from him today. Sometimes you don't really expect, like when a guy drives on the baseline and attacks out the corner, like that little sly shovel pass is something that you especially don't expect from bigs, but CMB has this like real confidence about the way he passes the ball. He like puts real zip on it. And I think as the viewer, I'm getting taken by surprise, but his teammates seem to be really ready for some of the nice passes he made. But ultimately, even he committed 5 fouls. You know what I mean? So between him and Scotty both having 5 fouls, like you actually did need some size, to contend against Brooklyn, who in addition to just being normal from 3, I mean, like 14 of 41 is like the most average from 3. They were also abnormal from the foul line, 31 of 32. The Raptors fouling a ton didn't really help in this instance. And I think if there was any concern for me, I was just like, especially in the first half, I just thought Jakob really struggled in this matchup against Nick Claxton. Nick Claxton was just driving the ball straight at him. And like sometimes he would like elongate his steps and like, I don't know, not really Euro step, but like kind of like awkward, slow step people. You know what I mean? Like kind of like a real discount version of like Evan Mobley or like Jaren Jackson like to do, for example. But I was watching it and I'm like, wait, Jakob, you can't just let him take you to the basket over and over and over again. Like, come on. I know you're better than this. Second half, he did lock in. He was much better in the second half. I thought Jakob was great in the second half, ripping down rebounds, throwing it up ahead, sparking the Raptors fast breaks, working that pick and roll with IQ. That was basically their best play. I mean, their best plays were like give Ingram the ball anywhere. And then the second best play was IQ and Jakob playing pick and roll together, whether they were, he was setting up Jakob for layups or IQ was just scoring, off the bounce with the pull-up three, or in this game, largely with the floater. But yeah, in the first half, I was like, what's going on? But honestly, in the first half, I don't know. It's one of those games. It was funny because on the broadcast, like the Raptors were like, scuffling for most of the first half, and shouts to Danielle Michaud, friend of the program. She's the new sideline reporter on the Sportsnet broadcast. If you haven't noticed already, Danielle's fantastic. She's done a great job for a long time. She's actually one of the first, I think, 5 guests that we got on the Raptor show. We went to Sportsnet. I think we got her and Faisal in like week 2. But shouts to Danielle. It's just a really genuinely nice person as well. But yeah, Danielle chimed in on the broadcast, like as the Raptors were scuffling, that she was like, here's like footage of the Raptors at this big dinner in New York City over the weekend. They were celebrating Sandro Mamukelashvili. I think they had Georgian food. They, the whole team showed up. It was great to see. Again, the Raptors are so close. And she was like, in Georgian culture, like every time a new dish arrives at the table, you toast, and they order the whole menu. So I was like, oh, is this why they're struggling so much? Is they just all basically had what me, Jerome, and Alex had at Hong Shing last Sunday? Like, is that what you're telling me? Is that we maybe on Sunday night, not only me and Alex had 20 shots each? Is that what we're saying here? Now, of course, Danielle did clarify. She was like, okay, it was Sunday, it wasn't Monday. Obviously this game's taking place on Tuesday night. But just the comedic timing of that report coming in as the Raptors like stumbled and fumbled the ball and smoked wide open threes, I was like, okay, all right. Meanwhile, yeah, I mean, like, shouts to the chat suggesting here that of course Scotty also was, Scotty being the huge theater nerd that he is, which is one of the very low key funny stories about Scotty, which I found out from Kayla Gray. Actually, Kayla did a great interview with Scotty actually at Media Day, where Kayla actually, obviously, she did a great job knowing the players and stuff like that, as you should be. And, they talked for like 10 minutes basically about Scotty's love for theater. And you just wouldn't really, I don't know. I don't really think there's many NBA players who are like theater kids, but Scotty's like fully one of these guys. Like, I think this is like the 7th time maybe he's seen Hamilton. I think he got Grady to go to the theater. I think he might have gone back-to-back nights. I mean, they were in New York, so as you would go to Broadway. In any case, I just don't think that their minds for the last 48 hours was on Raptors versus the Brooklyn Nets. And granted, like, look, the Nets are so terrible. Like, I think you could do all this and still come away with the win, as the Raptors did. It just wasn't the sharpest performance, but I mean, what can you really say, man? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we're gonna be completely honest about it, who was really thinking that hard about the Brooklyn Nets? Like, this is like, I don't even think it's close between who's the worst team in the NBA. I think, like, obviously there are other teams struggling, but I see the Wizards like being competitive. I see them like, they just pushed the Pistons to overtime, and that was a really fun game, one of many classics on a random Monday night last night. First, you had Portland versus Orlando with Desmond Bane hitting this like ridiculous buzzer beater 3 for the win after Portland had just tied it with a nice player of their own. Then you had Pistons Wizards, which you got to be a real sickle to watch that, but I actually really enjoyed the it was the NBC broadcast of it. I thought they did a great job covering that game. Really enjoying Austin Rivers in particular as a color analyst. One of the things that's cool about the NBC broadcast is they're doing this thing where they have obviously the play-by-play broadcaster sitting in the center of the court, which typically, you have the, play-by-play guy sitting courtside. But instead of having the two color commentators, sitting beside him, they're assigning each one to sit behind the bench of the two teams. And so sometimes they're able to report in terms of, okay, what they talked about in the timeouts, which is something I really like in FIBA basketball, actually. Watching like the FIBA World Cup or watching the Olympics or whatever. But like you get like in over there, I guess in international basketball competition, it's quite common to just like go into the timeout, like literally into the timeout, like cameras there, microphones there, and you're just seeing and European coaches don't have any qualms about yelling at their guys. But like it like takes you literally into the huddle. In this case, they're not broadcasting the huddle in that sort of a fashion, but they're recapping. Anyway, I was really enjoying that one, and even after that, like, what was the game? I guess Bucks Mavs was actually kind of decent as well. That was fun. Oh, Cavs Heat was fantastic. Goes to overtime. Donovan Mitchell shoots this like turnaround fadeaway, catching a loose rebound, tiptoeing along the end line, maybe stepping out of bounds, but somehow doing a 360 corner three to tie the game and potentially force double OT, I think. And then for some reason, the Cavaliers, with 0.4 seconds left, decided to leave the paint entirely open. And that allowed Andrew Wiggins to cut back door for alley-oop lob play from the inbound, which was great. Norm Powell, by the way, has been hooping like crazy. Norm had 30+ with ease in that one. Jaime Jaquez is having one of the best he's like probably most improved player this season in terms of the way he's been playing. So, I mean, last night was great hoops. You know what I mean? Today, watching this one, it was kind of a real... I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be like a win is not, I'm not going to be arrogant and be like, oh man, Raptors winning a game is not fun. It was fun. It was fun in the fourth quarter. It was fun hearing Danielle's report. It was fun watching Ingram and IQ's highlights, which is probably what the only thing you should see from this one besides the React pod. But yeah, ultimately, you knew what the deal was. And the Raps were, Raps were able to take care of business, and that's really all you need. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's got to be some, like with any workplace, you got to have a you have to have a healthy understanding of like, okay, when do I got to lock in? And the Raptors, to their credit, it took a little bit, but they did lock in. In the fourth quarter, they pushed away like the better team that they are, and so I wouldn't read into too much else into this one, just beyond that alone. And again, big credit to IQ and Brandon Ingram for coming through on this one. So I want to hear from you guys. I want to get your questions into the chat. I'm also going to comment on a couple. Actually, no, before we even get to, put your questions in the chat. That's fine. But just to follow up, a couple of things actually broke today. First off, Brandon Ingram, also, this is also via Danielle Michaud. I'm copying the report from her. But she transcribed the interview that she did with Brandon Ingram before the game, obviously commenting on Brandon Ingram, water bottle gate, whatever. The quotes are from Brandon Ingram are as follows, quote, "It was just the emotions of the game coming out then, like how I was playing offensively and defensively, just frustration. I wish I wouldn't have had anybody else involved, when I did that. While I apologized a bunch to the kid that got hit in the face with the water bottle, it wasn't my intention at all, but it was just frustrated in the midst of the game." And look, the situation really, really went viral. Like, I honestly saw so many people commenting on this. Like, if you saw the Raptors, for example, unveiled their new jerseys, their alternate jerseys, the white and black ones with the Raptor logo inside. I mean, I'm looking, I'm like, okay, cool, this is a cool release. I click the comments, and the first comments are like, "Oh, arrest Brandon Ingram. He's a terrible human being." You know what I mean? Like, it kind of took on a life of its own, and it was one of the biggest storylines with the Raptors. It's probably the biggest storyline with the Raptors all season, which is weird. But so I'm happy that Brandon was able to apologize. I mean, on a human level, like, obviously you hit somebody accidentally. You don't want to, you don't want that to happen. I'm happy he said he apologized to the guy multiple times. It's unfortunate because if I remember in that game, so Brandon came to the bench, he kind of cooled off, and then he went back in the game in a minute later. So there wasn't really that chance to sort of even go in and sort of apologize. Obviously, in the moment, he was pissed and he didn't help clean up. But like, whatever. It just like the situation, like, obviously just blew up so big. And I think it was just a smart PR play just in general by Brandon and the Raptors to just like come out and at least comment on it. Like we said, like we haven't got to know Brandon that well just based on he's only been here a short amount of time. But all the interactions we see, the guy's like calm. He's cool. He's very likable. All the players really love him. He's not a guy who's like complaining to referees. He's not trying to like do dirty stuff. He's like literally just tries to hoop. You see the interviews, he's got a little quirkiness to him, but generally speaking, he's like, you could tell by the person's vibe, you know what I mean? Like, he's not a villain in the slightest. And so obviously this moment was like, it's regrettable, but as he explains, he was frustrated. Let's just move on though, because again, there's too much has been made of this, and even by us, honestly, even us talking about it so much on the pod is probably not helping the situation. But at least journalistically, I'm going to close the story by at least offering the perspective from Brandon. So okay, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna get to your questions, and yeah, appreciate you guys. But first, a message from our beloved sponsor.
This segment is presented by Table Fare and Social. Get your pregame bites and after-work drinks at Table. It's at a great location right across the street from Scotiabank Arena and just steps away from Union Station and the Metrolinx bus terminal. Will, what are we having at Table Fare and Social?
Well, they got one of our favorites in the city, Alouette.
Ooh.
And you, of course, you know Alouette. Incredible food.
The wedge salad?
The wedge salad, exactly. Imagine you're about to watch a Raptors game, you're about to watch a Leafs game, you're about to catch a concert at Scotiabank, and beforehand, we get together, get a couple of drinks at Alouette, get that salad. We're ready for anything, man.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of options at Table Fare and Social. This is your go-to spot. Next time you're off to a game, check out Table Fare and Social, a downtown food hall right across from the arena for some great pregame bites and drinks.
Okay. All right, I appreciate you guys for sending in questions. First one from Tyler Mackey, who sent in $14 as well. So I appreciate you, Tyler. Thank you for watching and sending the money in. Tyler says, last season, Raptors got their 6th win with a record of 6-15. Now they're 6-5 with one of the toughest schedules on paper. Love seeing the improvements despite some rough patches. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, I know this is like when we looked ahead to the season, we're like, okay, we kind of expect the Raps to be like around a 500 team, a little slightly above 500. Certainly a big step up from where they were the last 2 seasons at 25 wins and 30 wins. But it's one thing to say, just think it. It's another thing to actually go out there and do it. And on that perspective, like, I'm actually really happy to see the Raptors, like, I'm not taking this for granted. I guess, you know what? Maybe I'm taking just this Nets game for granted just because they're so bad. But just in general, like, the Raptors are, like, clearly better than last year. They've obviously made, substantial improvements. I like the additions that they made. The last 3 newcomers to the team, Brandon Ingram, Sandro Mamukelashvili, Colin Murray-Boyles, no complaints. Really happy. 3 of 3 from all 3 of those guys. Good job, Bobby Webster, behind me there. But, like, just in general, like, I think that it's been refreshing to see competitive basketball again. Again, the Raptors are 6-5 on the season. Last year at this time, Scotty was injured, IQ was injured. They were playing like RJ, Jakob, Poeltl, Grady Dick as like their 3 go-to options, and that wasn't really taking you that far. All the rookies, were still very much rookies at that point. Certainly none of them got off to hot starts like Colin has for the Raptors. So, yeah, lots to like, you know what I mean? And even though some of the sophomores, like, I'm looking at Jakob Poeltl in particular, are really struggling to start the season, I'm really encouraged also by the fact that, like, okay, Jamal Shed has, like, really become dependable. Like, every night Jamal comes in the game and does something good, and then does something good, and then does something good. Like, it just, like, starts compounding good plays. He's turning, I mean, coming into the league, he wasn't even supposed to be a good shooter. And the one thing he kept talking about was, I'm going to work my 3, I'm going to work my 3. And you could look at him now. He's shooting above 40% from 3. And he's not forcing them. He's taking the right 3s, but that's what a good point guard should be doing. And he also, speaking of being a good point guard, touching the paint, kicking out, having chemistry with guys. Like, small things with Jamal. Like, so when Scotty picked up the tech, right, he picked up his 4th foul. He was frustrated. He's talking to the referee. It's like on the verge of getting a tech. And Jamal literally got up from the bench to stand in front of Scotty Barnes to, like, shield, I guess, the view of the referee to see who it is. I mean, you know it's Scotty. Like, he's not a sound barrier, you know what I mean? But small things like that, it's just like, dog, that's what you expect a vet to do, you know what I mean? And yeah, Jamal, he's taken a good step this year. Jamison Battle has taken another step as well. I think he's been so consistent. Actually, he was pretty consistent to start last season as well. He might just be like Mr. Consistency. I think, yeah, I mean, Jamison Battle, I mean, he's like the wolf. He's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. Like, he just comes in and cleans up other people's stuff. You know what I mean? Like, okay, everyone else makes a mess. Today was Scotty making a bit of a mess by, getting himself in foul trouble. Get in there, Jameson. Get in there. Get in there. Okay, Scotty picked up his fifth foul. Get in there again, Jameson. Right? Okay, you know what? Ochai's out. Get in there, Jameson. You know what I mean? Okay, Jacoby's not playing well. Get in there, Jameson. Every time Jameson comes in, like the first play he came in, I think in the second half, he like subbed into the game, immediately got a stop one-on-one against Terrence Mann. And whatever, Terrence Mann, not that good of an offensive player, but he was hurting the Raptors a decent amount in this game. One-on-one against him, stands him up, makes him pivot, makes him take a terrible turnaround. It's bad. Then he runs out in the fast break, plays a give and go with Scotty Barnes, and gets Scotty to the foul line for 2 free throws. Like, good stuff from Jamison Battle. Like, consistently he comes in the game, I feel safe with Jamison. So, like, yeah, I mean, good for him. But yeah, I mean, yeah, to Tyler's point, we really shouldn't be taking this for granted, man. When was the Raptors' 6th win last season, actually? Because they were 6-15. By the way, the Raptors were like, Raptors halfway through last season, we were crashing out so much that we were just doing banter pods on the post-game shows. Raptors last season, in midway through January, they were 9-31. Midway through January, they were 9-31. And yes, the Raptors did get their 6th win last season. It took until December for the Raptors to get their 6th win. They beat the Miami Heat 119-116 to improve to 6-15 on the season. Like, my goodness, man. So yeah, we shouldn't be taking this for granted. Absolutely. So, what else? What else we got from the chat? Cookie says, IQ should be playing like this. What do you want, a cookie? I mean, I don't know. I don't like when people kind of get too in their own camps in terms of like, this guy's bad, we got to get rid of him, or this guy's good, we got to get rid of him. I just don't think you're like giving anybody necessarily a fair shot when you have this like strong predisposed like position in mind. I'm not even saying like I'm above this. Like, certainly I definitely have players that I like more than the consensus, or, like a lot less than the consensus. Like, even last year with Ocha, I'm like, I don't know, I still don't fully believe this, but you know what I mean? Like, still, no, I think it's a credit to IQ when he turns it around. Like, he has a real impact on this game. Like, if IQ was playing the way he started the season in this game, Raps lose. And you know how pissed off we would all be if the Raptors lost in the Nets? If IQ was playing the way he started the season, Raptors lose in Atlanta. And they're not 2-0 in control of their group for the NBA Cup. You know what I mean? I think IQ the last 3 games has been really steady, really consistent. Some of it has been hot 3-point shooting, or not even hot, but just like regular 3-point shooting from him. You know what I mean? Like, we know how good of a 3-point shooter he is. There's a reason he takes those hard shots, because he knows he can do it. Like, he could take the deepest threes on the Raptors, for example. We keep seeing him take like 32 footers. You know what I mean? And yeah, today 24 points, 18 in the second half, 10 of 17 from the field, 3 of 8. Gives the Raptors a different dimension too. They play more traditional pick and roll with him and Yak. I thought him and Yak connected really well today. Again, like the Nets were kind of sitting back in the paint a lot, and so Jakob wasn't necessarily always getting open. But for IQ, he found those little pockets of space, and basically it's going to be either Jakob attacking that pocket with that floater, or it's going to be IQ attacking that pocket with that floater. So they were getting good shots from that no matter what. And that the momentum breaking 3 was huge. Him celebrating with the bench, I think it just has a big positive impact on the team when he's going. Obviously, the way he played the start of the season wasn't good. Defensively, that was a real struggle. I think he's been more solid on the defensive end. He still wouldn't. I wouldn't necessarily. He's like tough or stubborn on defense. There's certainly that element is lacking, but he's not getting beat nearly as much as when he started the season. So I think that I don't know if we could just like neglect this by saying you should. This feels like Asian parenting, man. Like if I brought home like a 89 on math, my parents would be like, you should be getting 89 on math. You should be getting 90. So I'm like, now I feel like shit as a kid. Because I'm like, okay, all right, so what? I'm invalid because I got 89 in math? You know what I mean? Like, IQ's not invalid. 24 for 8 and 5 is as a plus 20, the best mark on the team. 18 in the second half. Like, that's good. It should be okay to say this is good. And I'm salty about the contract. I know. Cole, you're in the chat all the time. You're good. But like, I hear it, man. I think people just take their positions and then they stand like on them so hard that it does kind of like lead to like you're gonna hurt your feelings a little bit sometimes. You know what I mean? So, Raptors look good because the Nets were straight ass. A lot of that, yes, I agree. they're so bad, man. It's I don't even want to be rude. It was not great. So Steve says, did you watch this game? Raptors were mostly ass in this game too. We won, though. Who cares? That's what have I been saying? It's not like I've been gassing it up like, oh, watch out, NBA Raptors are here. You know what I mean? Like, because we beat the Nets and we're 6-5. Like, no, man. you can't be excited a little bit. We won the game at least, you know what I mean? So, um, steady Shetty. I don't mind. I don't mind that. He does play pretty different than Fred, though, I gotta say. But they have similar qualities, and I think again, like the similarities are they both wear number 23. They both do a great job guarding the ball. They're both very smart. Fred was definitely more stubborn and willing to take a shot on offense and sort of take over. Shed is not really that type of guy. He doesn't really have that type of, you know what I mean, like those like crazy flip reverse finishes that Fred was known for. Although Fred wasn't really that efficient at those, but still, you know what I mean? Like Shed's definitely more pass heavy than Fred. And then Fred was a better outside shooter. Although Shed is really starting to catch up on that front too. So, but yeah, obviously it's nice. Having a nice set of point guards is always really, really fun. You know what I mean? Really, really fun. We got some more nicknames. Red Shed Redemption. Not terrible, I suppose. The Grateful Shed. There's a lot of like, you know, Shed Head sort of like, you know, jokes or nicknames off of that. Someone said, lol, with all the snow in Montreal, I watched Pine Barrens. Wait, hold on. How much is it snowing in Montreal, man? Do I need to call my brother? Actually, yeah, George, you might be listening to this, so, you know, hit me on WhatsApp if you hear me telling the story. But so yeah, my brother goes to McGill, and you know, lives in Montreal. Obviously, he grew up in Toronto. He was born in Toronto. He grew up his whole life in Toronto. Has gone to Montreal just for school. And of course, going to Montreal, like there's some like real like adjustments. Like I remember one of the first times I was bringing him out to university. We went to like their version of Eaton Center, which I think is also called Eaton Center. But it's like that mall that's like on like, I don't know, Sherbrooke or Rue Catherine, one of those two. I mean, everything in Montreal is on those two streets, it feels like. But like, yeah, we took him to like Uniqlo, got him like all sorts of like heat tech, because again, you definitely need heat tech if you're living in Quebec. And then I distinctly remember this very funny interaction where he called me one morning, and I'm like, what's up, man? You don't usually call me this early in the morning. He's like, yeah, I don't know if I should go to work. And I'm like, why not? He's like, yo, it's -50 wind chill outside. And I was like, you know what? He was like, I need a professional consult. Like as a kid, like I don't know. Is it reasonable grounds to call in sick or call in unavailable if it's -50 outside? And I was like, you know what? Honestly, I've never had this experience, even just working in Toronto. Like the coldest it's ever been is like -30. I remember All-Star Weekend 2016 was probably close to that. Obviously, I wasn't gonna call in sick for All-Star Weekend, man. You know what I mean? I got to go to work as an NBA person at that point. But yeah, I told him, I was like, dog, I don't think you should go to work if it's -50. And then his manager legit was like upset with him. He was like, why didn't you show up for work? I'm like, dog, it's -50. It's insane. So yeah, what's the weather in Montreal right now? You know what I mean? So let me know. But yeah, someone says, yeah, I remember that day. Yo, honestly, it was a tough time out there, man. You go to Montreal for many great things. It's a wonderful, wonderful city, truly world class. I might even prefer Montreal to Toronto, honestly. And this hurts as somebody who's basically spent like 20 plus years now in Toronto. But man, that was you know, you have to accept some of the winter elements to Montreal. So 6 inches or so, that's not even that bad. That's like a regular day. What do you mean? That's not that bad, man. Go to school, okay? Go to class, go to your jobs. 6 inches of snow, no problem. Mailmen delivering on those little climbing those little tiny steps on you know, those classic the Montreal houses, like no problem on those, man. 6 inches, no problem. Pedro says Scotty's so good every time he touches the ball, good things happen. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I don't know what to say. Scotty's been excellent in this game or in this season. Actually, one thing that was notable from Scotty today was without Sandro for the second unit, he kind of took over as a bit of a Sandro-esque. Like they put him into more actions. He was able to get into some of these pick and rolls. I just like the variety in which like Scotty's playing. Like he makes just obviously there's like the catch and shoot threes, which he's been doing. Sometimes the pull up three. Sometimes he's like the point guard. Like today, for example, to start the second half, you know, Scotty had back-to-back plays where he was able to feed Jakob rolling to the basket for a dunk, and then IQ cutting to the layup or rim for a dunk with a no look from Scotty. Scotty directed that whole play. Like, you know, he does a lot of great things. I mean, yeah, he did a great job. Defensively, he's also, you know, definitely the best defender. He fights like crazy on the glass. You know, pretty unselfish too. Like, there's really not much wrong that he did. I just wish he got to play more because he was just in foul trouble. But yeah, absolutely, man. Brian Liang asks, do you think the Raptors need a backup center? I feel like Poeltl will have a lot of off days when he's in foul trouble. We don't have someone as big stepping in. Yeah, I mean, I think this was definitely like a huge focus of conversation when they lost to the Sixers game. That one, that's probably the biggest front court in the league in terms of, well, actually, I guess Jokic and JV is a pretty sizable combination as well. But yeah, Embiid and Drummond, collectively definitely hurt the Raptors. I mean, sometimes physically hurt the Raptors. We saw, Scotty limping in that game, Brandon limping in that game. Sandro got his head hit. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys took some bumps in that one. But yeah, I mean, let's get a backup center. Why not? You know what I mean? Even just to have an extra body. We do have like we do have an open roster spot, so we could literally go out there and grab an extra body. I think for me, I'd rather look at, is there a youngish center out there that you can kind of invest in at a low cost for the next couple of years? I'm not even looking for a guy to play that many minutes, but for certain specific matchups, even just having a young big in the pipeline, I really just would not mind having. I appreciate the Raptors having all these nice wings and CMB adding to that collection this year. Certainly not regretting that. Although Derek Queen is looking really nice offensively, I was definitely really enamored with his skill set coming into the draft, but. Yeah, and I'm happy just personally for him to see him play because he's like a real joy to watch. Actually, I didn't really expect to watch any Pelicans basketball at all, but I have been watching a decent amount of just Derek Queen highlight compilations because it's just fun watching him. It's like kind of like I wouldn't say it's a baby Jokic, but you know what I mean? Like it's like it kind of reminds me when Şengün first came in the league, and I'm like, oh, okay, this guy's interesting. Like the Rockets were like, 20 and 60 at that point, but I'm like, okay, I'll watch a little bit of Şengün. He's there's something there, you know what I mean? Like clearly skilled offensive player who you can run a lot of actions through. I thought that's just gonna be really fun. But yeah, I've been watching a decent amount of just Derek Queen highlights, man. He's been fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, just having a young big in the pipeline, I honestly thought some people will be asking about just what potentially could be available at the trade deadline because it's already shaping out to be like a lot of teams are probably going to be selling. You have your usual tankers, but I think the ones that are joining that fray are like Dallas. Obviously, they fired Nico Harrison today. Finally, my goodness, man. But so Dallas certainly has. Dallas is weird because like their team sucks, but certainly a lot of usable pieces on that team. Like I think PJ Washington could help a lot of teams. I think Daniel Gafford could help a lot of teams. Derek Lively, if they want to give up on him before they extend him, that could be interesting. I mean, I certainly like that in Toronto, although I don't know what money we have to give him. If you trade for Lively, you're expecting to extend Lively, right? So I don't know if the Raptors even had the money for that. But like obviously someone could probably use Clay, even though Clay's a little washed. But like let me just see Clay go back to Golden State, man. Come on, dude. Like what's Clay even doing for the Mavericks, man? This Clay with the Mavs is like freaking Tony Parker with the Hornets. Like it just looks wrong, man. Yeah, like what I mean. Like there's a decent amount of players there. It looks like Sacramento's going to go into a pivot into a tear down. Can you steal some of their pieces? Raptors were previously interested in Keegan Murray, although he hasn't really developed that great. And all of a sudden, with the contract that he extended for, like by the way, if you're frustrated with Quickley making 30, you might be real frustrated watching Keegan Murray making 30 too. But yeah, like there's a couple teams out there that I feel like you could probably pick a couple pieces off of, and for the if you can grab a young big in that, like I think that's where when Bobby says like we're in talent acquisition mode and anybody Memphis is another team obviously to watch. Maybe they do some stuff in Memphis. They've already moved off of Bane. They've already changed their coach. Ja's already basically forcing his way out. Like we'll see what happens, right? So, yeah, like. There will be some interesting combinations. And I think for the Raptors, like their approach is always, okay, there's obviously certain guys that they really want and they want to target, but they're also kind of like opportunistic buyers, right? So like Brandon was a very opportunistic buy. Like, okay, when else are you going to get Brandon Ingram for Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown? And yes, you got a first round pick in that, but Kelly Olynyk and Bruce Brown, for Brandon Ingram in his prime, like, yeah, you do that because, you make sense, like this is laptop for spaghetti meme. Like, you got to do that one, right? So, or like the Kawhi deal was like pretty opportunistic, like when they traded for Serge Ibaka. Okay, so at that point, Orlando had acquired Serge in a trade. And then they were like, wait, what are we doing with this, Serge Ibaka Bismack Biyombo front court in Orlando of all places. Like, we got to pivot off of this. And the Raptors swooped in. They're like, okay, you can have Terrence Ross, who's like already pretty frustrating at that point, and like a low first round pick, and we'll get Serge Ibaka on the team. Pretty optimistic. By the way, speaking of which, I don't know if people noticed, but this logo right here, you probably noticed it already, but this is actually Serge Ibaka's "How Hungry Are You" logo. Apparently, only 5 of these hats were made. And obviously, I got this courtesy of dear friend Alex Wong. You see the championship patch on the side here with the Serge Ibaka signature. But apparently only 5 of these were made, and he actually got one made like extra large for my gigantic head. And I forgot about this hat for like a long time, and today I was like, I don't really want to wash my hair before going on air. I'm just gonna throw a hat on, and yeah, man, how hungry are you? Serge Ibaka hat. This is a limited ass. This might be one of the most exclusive items that I own actually when it comes to paraphernalia. So, but yeah, I mean that's the point is like the Raps are always going to be, especially under this front office, they're pretty pragmatic and they'll try to be opportunistic. To be honest, the only times I didn't really feel like the Raptors were opportunistic was when Fred was going to free agency, when Pascal was going to free agency, when OG was going to free agency. You certainly look back on those trades and like, okay, what did we get back from those? But regardless, like, yeah, that's yo, come on, man. Yo, are you gonna Clark? You're killing me. Says it looks like a fart going upwards. That's not true. Okay, this is Serge Ibaka we're talking about. Okay, 100% a Vec class, not a Vec ass. Okay. How dare you? How dare you? Will, that's your best fitting hat. Looks great. Thank you. I have been trying to sneak the appearance of wearing hats in and just to sort of like normalize the look on my head, but I agree. Most of them do not really fit that. How do I get that? I told you, man. You can't get this. This is exclusive. This is it. You can't actually get this, man. The only way you get this is through clout. Unfortunately, I hate flexing clout, but this is really a clout item. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, shouts to Mafuzi Chef, man. Definitely miss Serge, and I mean he'll be in Toronto a lot, a decent amount. If he doesn't get signed in the NBA, I think Serge will do a transition and pivot into media, and we will be there for you, Serge. We will be there for you in any sort of capacity you need, media wise. So what else? Yeah. Brian says take out the 1-4 start. We're 5-1. You know what? That's the kind of positive thinking we need in this November snowy 3 days in a row snowing in Ontario type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's right. Take out the 1-4 start. We're 5-1. It helps that we've again like the schedule was sort of like eased up a little bit after basically the Raptors playing the biggest teams in the NBA for a stretch there. And yeah, like not taking this for granted at all. Like I'm really enjoying sort of the team, and I think that there's still like a lot of upside for this team. Like first off, the starting lineup still has yet to really truly click. It would help if they don't come out every game, all lackadaisical like they did today. I think that, but there's still like more for the starting lineup to sort of get better at. I'm happy the IQ's trending upwards. He's the guy who was underperforming at the start of the season. He started playing well. I'm happy that Jakob Poeltl starting to get healthier. He looked actually pretty good in the second half. I got to give Jakob his credit. And then, yeah, Scotty, RJ, and Ingram have been like pretty consistent throughout. I mean, RJ today was just, I don't know what was happening with RJ, but yeah, there's actually some more upside to the team. Now, I think that like there'll be tougher tests. Like I was watching the other games from last night, and I'm like, ooh, how would we look against a healthy Cavs, or like, and which I guess we'll see because the Raptors play the Cavs next on Thursday, or like, how would the Raptors play against this Heat team that are like super fast, super physical, driving on you? Like they played overtime and they won yesterday. And by the way, that was a game where they didn't even have Bam Adebayo, who's their best player, obviously, and Tyler Hero, who's their all-star. But they still scored like 130 plus in OT, and they only ran 9 ball screens. And I know like it's, Alex always clowns me about the obsession about the no ball screens, but like all we've seen for the last like 20 years of basketball is teams like, embracing the pick and roll in a way that like took it to crazy heights, and every defensive scheme has basically been against how do we take away the pick and roll to a large degree. The 3-point shooting, all that's like a product of the league playing way more pick and roll, and we're seeing this like counter trend now, which I think is like super interesting. Last year with Memphis was a mess, so they didn't do it well, but like this year with Spo and him bringing that offense there, like the revival. I mean, again, like it's when you watch Heat games, like I've been really enjoying watching the Heat games, but like Jaime Jaquez is just like, catching the ball with like a head of steam. And it just feels like the Heat are always in transition, even if they're like playing in the half court. Like there's a lot of things that they're doing there that's really interesting. It's activating, each player basically. Norm's like averaging Norm's scoring like 25 a game right now. Jaime Jaquez is like scoring over 20. Andrew Wiggins just had the game winner, but he's been playing great. I mean, guys you don't even expect. Davion Mitchell looks fantastic in that lineup. Bam's been shooting threes and spacing it out. Khalil Ware just had like 20 rebounds last night. Like, I was like, damn, I don't know if the Raptors can beat Miami, for example. Like, that would be a really interesting matchup. Orlando, I thought, was physically really tough. Like, they needed the game winner to win that, but, their vibes have been pretty bad. They had a couple injuries as well, but, like, even watching them, I'm like, damn, the physicality. Like, where are you supposed to attack on this team, man? You know what I mean? Like, even their point guards are like 6'5", you know what I mean? So, there's like the East is upper tier. Like, I'm not that fearful of, like, it's really just two teams in the Knicks and the Cavs, and even both of those guys, I'm not really expecting either of them to win the chip. I guess one of them has to come out the East, but like there will be some stiffer tests up ahead, and obviously that wasn't here in Brooklyn tonight. But what can you do about that? So, but still, it's been really fun watching them. You know what I mean? It's fun watching a more competitive product. So, last question from Steve. Will, who's your daddy and what does he do? Is this a serious question? Yeah, my dad's an engineer, man. What do you mean? He gets up at 6 a.m. and drives to work in Bolton, at one of those like big mechanical plants or whatever, and probably sits on his computer and does like AutoCAD or whatever programming language they're using for the machines, and probably supervises like certain projects, and then comes home at 6 o'clock and stretches out, calls me. He's like, Will, how do I work the Sportsnet app to watch the Leafs lose to the Bruins? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty normal. On the Saturdays, he goes to play soccer with his Chinese friends. He's my dad is 60 now. Is he 60? Yeah, he's 60. Wait, he turned 60 this year, but he's still like he's like played soccer his whole life. He put me into sports. Yeah, man, love my dad. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna tell you his name. That'd be weird, but yeah. Apparently, some of his coworkers actually do listen to the show, and they've actually come up and actually, they've actually like come at the office and been like, "Oh, we know your son. We're fans of the Raptors, and we actually know your son." So that was it's super cute. Sometimes I think like you have these like few moments in life where like your parents kind of like start to see you in a different light, like away from like you being a kid, and obviously they take care of you from birth, so all that's there. But there's like small moments where you earn some respect. Usually like you get your first job, or like you get into a relationship, or you like get your first, you're living on your own, you're paying your own bills, or like you get into university, or you get graduation. Like there's like little steps where you get to more and more respect. And it was kind of weird that my dad was like, oh, my son has clout. Okay, I guess I gotta respect him a little bit now. That cracked me up. So shouts to my dad, man. So what if Alex was my dad? That would not. I wouldn't have turned out like this. I'll tell you that much. Alex is Will's son. You know what? In some ways, yes. I think despite the 9-year gap, despite the 9-year gap, I do think that I may have a couple maturity things on Alex, and vice versa. I think we're close enough. We're close enough. So, all right, that's enough weird family history for this one. Let's wrap it out. Let's hand out the 3 stars and get out of here. It's just Raptors Nets on a freaking Tuesday. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Man, I wish the Raptors can the Raptors please stop playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays? I want to go to my basketball runs, man. This is the only exercise I get in the during the season is during the basketball runs. So please stop playing on Tuesdays and Thursdays so I can hoop. Yeah, Jerome is everyone's dad. Yeah, Jerome's hooping right now. So Jerome spent all day editing this Immanuel Quickley interview, and now he's now he's hooping. So well deserved. So last question from Power Duster. Appreciate you always sending the toonies in. Deep in therapy vibes. Q and the show, Jerome. No, he's not here. He's at an undisclosed gym in Toronto where we play on Tuesdays. And Jerome hasn't hooped in a while, so I'm hoping he had a good one. I will be shortly expecting a text from Jerome where he breaks down his entire stat line. And I'm excited to sort of see how that all turns out. But to wrap up the episode, 3 stars from tonight's performance. First star, I'm going to go to Immanuel Quickley. 24 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 10 of 17 shooting from the field, 3 of 8 from 3. I just saw genuinely he was a really, really positive factor on the offensive end, the pick and rolls, the little like deep threes, little quick threes, like like Quickley has like a weird, like it's a bit of a weird game, like, you know what I mean, like he kind of like he's more opportunistic than consistent with the scoring, but man, when he's on it, you can really feel it, and it really changes the flow of the game. And of course, yeah, man, absolutely. Hold on, what we got? Hold on, what was this comment? IQ with the hello and welcome bump. That's right, baby. Tomorrow on the show, we'll be dropping an interview that we did with Immanuel Quickley. It's not a super long one. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's better than it's longer than the Norman Powell, the infamous Norman Powell 7 minutes in heaven interview. I think it probably comes in around 15 minutes, maybe 14. But yeah, I got to chat with IQ a little bit. Here's a little sneak peek of me and IQ chatting it up. Yeah, it was virtual. Obviously, they were in New York, so called him up on Zoom. But Quick was in a great mood, man. I thought he was really open and reflective, and I think it's a good chance to sort of get to know IQ a little bit. I realized actually since he joined the team almost 3 years ago, I haven't actually interviewed IQ, which is pretty rare. I feel like I've usually got a chance to talk to most of the guys on the team. Like, I've interviewed Scotty one-on-one. Jakob, that's happened a few times. Grady Dick, that's happened a couple times. On this team, Jamal, Jacoby, man, who else is on this team? Why am I just blank? Sandro. Wow, why am I blanking on who's on the Raptors? This is my whole job. Obviously, I've spoken to all of them in the scrum settings, but even just sit down one-on-one settings. Yeah, the two ways, Elijah, Chucky, AJ, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Bobby, Darko, like, I've spoken to pretty much everybody on the team. But I realized I hadn't talked to Quick one-on-one before, so it was great. And it was, Quick was it was a good interview, so look out for that tomorrow, man. Look out for that tomorrow, so. Anyway, first star, Quickley. Second star, Brandon, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, a block, got a bunch of buckets. Then I got to celebrate with his girl courtside. Life can be pretty good, man. Life can be pretty good, as you see Brandon Ingram also offered a little bit of an apology. I think that's the right thing to do. I think there's the right thing to do. Once again, shouts to Daniel Michaud for getting the quotes out there and getting the story out there. And then your third star, man. You know what? I'll give it to Jakob. I don't think I've given Jakob 1 star all season. I thought Jakob was real steady in the second half. Just, again, securing the rebounds, getting in the pick and roll game, getting Quickley open. 12 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, 2 blocks. Oh, yeah, he looked more spry blocking shots at the rim. It's been a while, man. It's been a while for Yak to, and we know what level Yak can get to. That's the thing too. Is like, okay, we know that the team had been inconsistent for the start of the season, and Jakob being out or even just straight up not playing well with the bad bag. Like that was definitely a huge burden for the team. I wouldn't even go to say it wasn't helping the team, but we know what quality he can get to, man. Last year, Jakob Poeltl was like 1-2 in terms of like best player on the team with him and Scotty in terms of the impact he had. So, we know the level he can get to, and if we can get Jakob back to the level that he can get to, Quickly's coming around. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, it's kind of dangerous because like now we can survive cold nights from other guys. So, on a personal level, I want that for Jakob too because he's also just a nice man with a lot of shoulder hair. Shouts to Jakob Poeltl. Your Gerald Henderson Award winner. I'll give that to Egor Demin. I'm not really sure how to say his name, so maybe if someone speaks Russian, they can kind of explain Egor Demin, because I thought it was Egor Demin, because on the course of the draft prep, that's what kind of everyone was calling him. But yeah, I mean, it was weird because Egor, I think, was like really Trump like hyped as like a maybe like a Russian Josh Giddey, which wow, that doesn't sound positive. But Josh Giddey is certainly playing well as a basketball player. But like a lot of flashy passes. Him at BYU was like kind of the big point guard. But right now I'm like looking at the 3-point shooting. I was like, damn, he was shooting like fadeaway threes and stuff. Like I was like, woo, like okay, all right. So he really got the jumper going. He doesn't really seem to have much off the dribble yet, but I mean, if you can shoot like that, they don't have to do that much off the dribble. You know what I mean? Like you get guys closing up on you, and I think the stronger he gets, the more he advances his handle with that size and that outside shot. Like the Nets might have got something. Now they might have gone 1 for 5 on their first round picks, but at least they got one. You know what I mean? So yeah, Demin had hold on, what's the Demin? Demin says okay. I'm gonna trust this person with Demin, but yeah, Egor Demin had 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and knocked down 4 threes. So that's it for the React Pod. Appreciate you guys. Again, look out for the interview with Immanuel tomorrow. Please hit the like on the video. Otherwise, I'll see you on Thursday after the Raptors play the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll have a React Pod then, and of course, we'll do our usual Friday as well. Get Alex back on the show He's been dying to crack open an NBA six-pack. Let's go around the league. So thanks a lot for listening. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, Raptors 6-5. That's a nice feeling.